went into the ATM, looked left, looked right, make sure nobody was watching,
Right.
you know, put my card in, check my checking, saw the amount, fucking freaked out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm rich.
Yeah.
I said, I'm rich.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott Feinberg from The Hollywood Reporter. Thank you for tuning in to our Songwriter Roundtable. We are so thrilled to be joined by 5 incredible artists who are responsible for some of the best original songs that you've heard in films in 2021. This is a treat to have so much talent at one table. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to get into your process and inspirations and all of that sort of stuff. But first, just because we're here talking about original songs for movies, do you remember the first time, and anyone can just jump in if you know the answer, the first original song in a movie that really stood out to you, where it was used well in a film, made an impact on you?
Mine's gonna be so not sophisticated.
You go first.
All right, I was
got
gonna say, actually, I'm just realizing the irony of this, Cinderella by the Cheetah Girls.
There you go.
Nice.
Not very sophisticated,
Hey,
but it's
it's
a bop.
cool, yeah.
That's a banger.
The Glow from the Last Dragon soundtrack.
There you go. And it just, you can remember probably where you were, right?
Yeah, I was a kid. I was like maybe like 7 years old.
Awesome.
It was like, man, I was just like, holy shit, like, you know, like, in the movie, it's my favorite movie ever made, so.
And it's just sometimes just a pairing of the
Exactly.
song to the movie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'll probably say Superfly or Ghostbusters theme.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Well, I mean, mine was, might sound strange coming from me, but fight the power and do
Yeah,
the right thing.
straight
Because
up.
up to that point, all the best songs were always these kind of manufactured kind of beautiful songs, perfectly tailored and all. And when that came on, it was like, this is what, you know, film music can be.
Almost felt like they like built the song or built the movie around that song.
Right.
No, I mean, the same song. And,
Yeah.
And Rosie Perez.
Yes.
Yeah, straight
Doing
up
her-
the dance in the credits, popping it.
Absolutely. Well, so let's get the basic stuff out of the way. How did you come to each of these projects? And Ron and Russell, I want to start with you guys because you guys have been working across the genres for 50 years, and I know this project in particular has been years in the making. There were other movie possibilities over the years, some of which are discussed in the Edgar Wright documentary, which was made about you this year. It finally happened here with Leos Carax. Tell us how.
Yeah, we had we've had 25 albums as Sparks, and so at a certain point you want to find new ways to kind of challenge how you write and how you do music, and so we wanted to do a narrative project, and we came up with a story called Annette, and this was about 9 years ago. We went to the Cannes Film Festival, met the French director Leos Carax, who used one of Sparks' songs in his last movie called Holy Motors. And as a result of that, we gave him this project, and he just said, after a couple weeks reflection, I want to direct this as my next movie. And it was, for us, coming from a whole other world, to have someone, a really great director that we really respect and love his films, to just say that he loved not only the story that we wrote, but also all the songs. And it's a full-blown musical, too, if I didn't mention that as well.
With like 40 or so songs that you guys
42
wrote.
pieces of music. And
It's unbelievable.
And Leos had never directed a musical before, but every one of his films has a musical segment in it that's really extraordinary. So we had great faith that he'd be the guy.
Camila, let me.
sick.
Yeah, it's just a great story.
Speaking of musicals.
Yes, I know, exactly. Cinderella, it's been done a million times, but never quite like this. And of course, people have gotten to know you over the last few years, both with Fifth Harmony and then on your own, and so many hits. But I guess, did we just not know that you always wanted to act as well, or was that, was that something that has been a big passion of yours for a long time?
Well, I always, in my music videos, that was my favorite thing about music videos, getting the chance to be a part of a narrative and get to kind of explore different sides of myself. And I was in drama drama class when I was in middle school, and I feel like that's kind of how I came into singing too. It was just like, I don't know, I remember that like drama period in my class being where I felt like I could express myself and overcome my shyness in school. And my drama teacher was the first person that I actually sang in front of ever. Because I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel like this, but so many of my heroes are like, you know, I was like 4 years old and I was like putting on shows for my family, and I was like not like that. I was like so shy when I was little, and yeah, like my drama teacher and my drama class was, I think, where I first was like, oh, I love getting on stage and performing, whether it be singing or like doing like a funny like improv thing or whatever. And so I think I always was like, you know, music is my kind of first love, like my first vehicle for expressing myself. But if it, you know, if the right thing kind of, I stumbled upon the right thing, I would like be so hyped to explore acting. But obviously it's like, can I swear on here?
Please do.
It was fucking terrifying for it to be like the first acting project that I did, like me have the lead role in it. And like that be the first time.
Yeah, I was thinking.
So like that was really scary.
Does it make it, yeah, I'm wondering, easier or harder to have that you're blending both the acting and the singing so
Easier.
much? Yeah?
So much easier. Like I felt like for that movie, like writing the song for it and also it being a musical and there being singing in it, like the singing part was like fucking like piece. I was like, I'm home. Like here we go. This is a music video. The acting part was, I think, where I had to really grow and learn a lot. And like literally by the end of that experience, I feel like, you know, not just in my acting, of course, but like as a human being, I was like, well, I really learned a lot about myself during this experience because I was so fucking scared for the first part of it.
Scott, you got two films here that are both excellent and really have used music in interesting ways. One of them reunites you with Jay-Z, who I know you've worked with before. The other, I think it's a first-time collaboration with Ariana, but also Nick Britell, who people they should know from Succession, Moonlight, so many things. And of course, going back to The Harder They Fall, James Samuel, who, you know, if they don't know yet, he's also The Bullets, and music is flowing through this Western. So just talk about these collaborations and how they came about.
Well, let's talk about Harder They Fall.
Yes, please.
I was in the Hamptons. I was raging. I was having a good time. I was at this party. I'm walking through, and I hear somebody call my name, and I look over, and it's like Jay-Z from across the room. Whoa. He's like waving me down. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, yeah. Okay. So I haven't seen Hov in person in like years. So like, I come up to him, I'm like, yo, what's good? He's like, yo, man, I've been trying to get up with you. I have this song that I think you would be perfect for. And I was just like, anything for you.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what is, send it? You want my engineer's email? Send it, you know? So he was like, yo, I'm gonna text you with the director, James, and give me your number and we'll connect or whatever. So like, I was like, I'm gonna give Hov my cell, but he's probably not gonna hit me. It's probably gonna be like somebody on the staff or something. 2 days later, he texts me with James on the group text. Like, yo, wanted to connect y'all. And I was like, oh shit, this is like, he was serious, you know? I was like, I got a text from Hov, this is great. So then I connected with James and we hit it off. Like, now, the funny thing about us is that me and James worked together in 2008.
Really?
On a song with Mr. Hudson, he wrote, and I featured on. So we already connected in some way, indirectly, right? So we talked, we hit it off, and you know, he told me what he wanted to do with the song. He sent the song, and I fell in love with it. You know, I really felt like, wow, I can make an anthem for this character, Nat Love, and you know, something that drives the story along, and then Jay-Z will come through and do his piece, and it could be a really epic piece, you know? So we got together and we kind of just bounced ideas and sat there with the verses, and you know, and that was pretty much what I wanted to do. I wanted to make this kind of theme song for Nat Love.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened, man. We kind of worked on it all night and we banged it out.
Wow.
In a
Yeah.
night?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, in one night.
Really?
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so like Just Look Up came about. It kind of came through the traditional way, like through them reaching out and asking if I was interested. There was a role at first, and you know, it was a really small role, and I was like, hey man, like I'll fuck with Adam McKay, whatever he want me to do, like I'll show up, I'm down, you know. But then it kind of like, I got to this place where I was like, you know what, I want more. I want to do more. I want to let them know that I'm interested in doing more. So we told them we were interested, and then I think a day later they were like, okay, we got this song, and we got 2 more scenes for you, you know? So I met up with Nick, who I already met through Timothy Chalamet, who introduced us a while ago. And like me and Nick hit it off, and he's a sweetheart. So like I wasn't nervous working with him. I knew we were gonna be able to spark a vibe, and you know, we met maybe 2 or 3 times to do this song. And the first time it was just us just getting together, talking about the approach, like how it was gonna be from the perspective of the character DJ Cello and not a Kid Cudi record, right? So like,
That is definitely something I would ask you about, because the idea of stepping into another character and while songwriting is something that
it was trippy.
Curious about. But no, this is great. And then
Sometime you have to teach us how you can bang something out in one night.
Exactly.
right. So Anderson, you had worked with Marvel before on a little movie people might have heard of, Black Panther.
Right.
Here they have another really landmark film, and you wind up back in business with them. Are they fun to work with? How did that come about?
They're the best, you know, big ass budgets.
Yeah,
For
right.
You know what
real.
I'm saying? No, it's great. I mean, the first time I worked, it was just like a lob from the homie Kendrick. Like, and it's crazy because I had just landed in South Africa, and you know, Kendrick probably hits you once or twice a year. And it, just like you were saying, there's certain people when they hit you, it's like, what we doing?
Yeah.
What's the game plan? So like he hit me, he's like, I got this song. I got the lyrics, I got the melody, everything. I only hear you on it. It's Absol and James Blake on it, and you know, I can send it to you today, and if you can get it done in the next hour, something, you know, that would be greatly appreciated. So I'm like, cool. We get to South Africa. I'm like, cool. Book a studio. Let's do it. And you know, next thing I know, I got a plaque. You know, but this one was a little different. Like this one was like it was that I gotta say it was the Korean connection, because the homie Dumbfounded and the homie Aquafina. Dumbfounded is a big hip hop. I say like one of the pioneers of like battle rap in LA and stuff. If you go back and look up Dumbfounded, you'll see a bunch of battle raps. And one of my close friends, one of my best friends that I met when I first came to LA, and he introduced me to Aquafina, who's, you know, the lead star in there as well. But both of them were like, yo, we about to have hard times, about to be the Asian Black Panther, we gotta have you on this shit, you know? And I'm like their homie, you know, their little Blasian homie that, you know, like, you know, they always hit me up to do music and soundtrack stuff. I love doing soundtrack stuff because I have so much music that sometimes it don't fit with my album, or they're still great songs, but it's like, damn, I wish I could just put this to something, you know, that I could work with. And a lot of times they work for soundtracks or for like commercials or anything. You know, I don't feel like you should ever waste a good song.
When you guys, I think you've all at one time or another done songs for movies before. It's not this is not, or maybe
No, this is my
your
first
first
time.
one?
Yeah.
So I guess let's start with you then and go around, and just like so many of you guys, and especially you, Scott, I think like, you know, you are so associated with writing very personal things that to then go and write something that's not, I feel like it must be a jarring change. But so I guess I'd like to hear that from Camila, and then we'll go around.
Well, I was in the middle of writing my second album, and I was like in the middle of doing that, and at the same time knowing that I was gonna work on this film, and I had like, I think like a week or two, or I think just a week like in my schedule to be like, you know, let's try to kind of crack the code on this song. And I had asked, I wanted to write it with one other person. It was my first time working with Scott Harris, who I just did my last album with. And yeah, I basically, you know, I read the script, I like made notes, I like looked up quotes on Pinterest that were very like, you know, like to me, the Cinderella, this story was one of ambition and kind of fighting your own inner doubt and your fears and kind of seeing something for yourself that maybe other people don't see and that you don't even see for yourself sometimes. And so I was kind of looking up kind of like the inspirational quotes and drawing from the script and stuff. But I think like when it came down to it, I don't think that I know how to write in any other way that isn't personal to me. So to me, it was kind of like at that time, like to be totally honest, I was like going through a really hard time like with my mental health and like, I don't know, it was just a period of I think a lot of like anxiety and like sadness for me. And that song, like Million to One, was I think me feeling like I could, channeling that into like I can overcome this and like I know that I can make my life better and like, you know, when I feel my fear staring at me, you know, like that I feel like I channeled my personal journey into the one of the character, because I actually feel like even when talking to my director, Kay Cannon, about the song, it was like the character was set up to be this kind of like super confident, like everybody was telling her no and she knew. And I was like, well, I don't even think that's like realistic, because sometimes like you do have, in a situation like that, I felt like my character would kind of like have fear when so many people were putting her down, where I feel like she's like struggling and like beating it and overcoming it. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I feel like it wasn't personal in the sense of like these details. Like usually it would be like, you know, last Wednesday, whatever. So I think it was less detailed, but I still like feel like I kind of had to draw from personal experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott, I mean, since I think you, for a long time, going back to like 2009 with your music, I think you've been willing to draw upon very personal stuff, like I was saying, and yet here it feels like with both with Guns Go Bang, you're having to essentially inhabit the persona of Nat, the protagonist,
Right.
And then with Just Look Up, it feels like it's a very comedic movie, as most Adam McKay movies are. Stepping out of yourself and into characters, what's that like for you?
It's interesting because I had a little taste of this when I was working on my show, Intergalactic, because the music narrates the story, so all the majority of the songs are told from the perspective of the character. So I already kind of had a little bit of time working on that, you know. So with this, it was more so just trying to, you know, find the truth in it. And like with for example, for the Just Look Up song, right? It was like you said, it was our version of like no, I wouldn't say cheesy, but like a pop song, you know, with a pop star. Like
I have to
my
quote a
character
few
is-
lyrics. These are,
Yeah,
or you do it.
no,
These
go
are
ahead.
hilarious.
You quote. But it's before you quote.
Yeah.
It's I'm supposed to be cheesy.
Exactly. No, and I was sitting there dying. It's you and Ariana going back and forth, right? And time is oh so precious. We don't really have much left now. Literally, there's a comet coming at Earth that's gonna obliterate it. What he's really trying to say is get your head out of your ass. Listen to the goddamn qualified scientists. We really fucked it up this time. It's so close I can feel the heat big time. Just look up, turn off that shitbox news because you're about to die soon, everybody. And this is, but in a catchy
Yeah, in like the Ariana whimsical, like gorgeous voice, like
in front of a concert.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, man. But I think that's the special thing about the record is like it starts off and you're like, oh, this sounds really good.
Right,
And then
exactly.
it just takes a turn and it's like, wait a minute.
Anderson, I guess I'm curious, when in this case your song there is for the end credits, you have, maybe that gives you a little bit more freedom about, you don't have to tie it to something that's specifically happening in the action. Is the goal to kind of write a song that speaks to the movie but also would play well independent of that if somebody just hears it on the radio, or what are you thinking when you've got to fill that slot?
I mean, for me, it's kind of like it's not worth it for me unless it's like in the top of the. It's got to be in the movie first of all, like because you get a lot of people that want you to, like, have you a part of a soundtrack or something, but that just means they want to just throw you on a soundtrack with 50 other people and just have the more names the best. But mine's like, nah, it's either gonna be first I want to see the movie, and then second it's got to be at the top or in the middle or in the end, right? So my whole thing is like I would love to see the movie. Marvel was being really like, you know, Destin. I hope I'm saying his name right. The director, he was really cool because I was telling 88 everybody, I'm like, I want to see the movie. What's going on? And they were still going through a lot of stuff. So I was in there with Roger and Sonny, and I was like, fuck it, let's just get in there and make some tracks, and then maybe we'll see it and we can fine tune it later. And we made like 4 or 5 tracks, and Roger, he did Sicko Mode, he did Kiss It More, a bunch of stuff. And this was my first time working with him. Super fun, super dope. One of those dudes that I'll probably just kick it with regardless if we did music or anything like that. And Sonny is the same thing. He got gold fronts. Like, he's a great writer. He always comes from that different perspective. Like, he's from Cincinnati and like gives me like, he's the one that always pulls
Ohio
me.
boy.
Ohio boy. Yeah, you know, every time I want to go left, he's always like, come on, man, make it about love. You know what I'm saying? Every time I want to just be like, nah, man, let's say something about bitch or something. And he's like, nah, man, sing to her. So every time I start trying to rap and shit, he'd be like, nah, man, I'm not trying to hear that shit. So we was in there till like 4 in the morning, you know, and like, making music and stuff, and they just put us in the studio. We hadn't seen the movie, and we was in there, and you know, 4 in the morning comes, and everybody's like tired and stuff, and that's usually when like, right when you're about to like hang it up, it's like, all right, let's try to do one more, you know? And that's how Fire in the Sky happened. Like, it started off as a joke. We was just like, let's just make something, no drums, like on some lounge piano, stretched out stuff. I was listening to a lot of Baccarat and like Dionne Warwick and stuff. So I really wanted to try to make this kind of like ballroom type thing, and we made something like that, and it was horrible. But there was a part in that was like, you was cruising with your top down. You know, like we got the like the meat of like what ended up being Fire in the Sky, and then we just kept working on that because we was like, there's some money in this. It's kind of nice. And you know, 50 versions later, it ended up making the movie. But it wasn't until probably like the 10th, the 12th version that we turned in, and then they were like, okay, you can see a cut of the movie. Then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, this got to be good. We got to make this song great, you know. So I started going in trying to, you know, do draft to draft, and I probably wouldn't have done that, but I was working with this maniac Bruno, and so I was listening to music completely different at that point. I probably you know, would have just turned it in at one point, but I was always trying to figure out the math on the song and how it could really be perfect, because I saw the movie and I wanted the song to, you know, live up to the same thing. When people see the credits and they see that movie and then my song comes up, I wanted it to be like, it takes them to the next level and not a letdown. So
how many versions did you do after
I think like over 50, and then the funny part is, or not funny part, the tragic part is that there's 2 different versions. The part that makes it in the movie is different. So at the very last minute, we was like, the drums need to go double time. Then the 4th of July. And then before that, it was like, And Bruno was like, got this saying, he was like, you don't ever want people to listen to your song and go like this.
Right.
Because that means they're just like, you know, kind of tuning out. And I was like, what? This shit's due tomorrow, you know? And then, so we missed the, you know, they picture lock or whatever in the industry, we call it that.
Right.
We missed the deadline for that. So it was like, you know, version 50 that got used in the movie, but then 51 was the one that got used on the soundtrack. And that was the double time one. And there was a lot of like things that really changed the game for the song that didn't come till later. And they were real patient with me, but you know, like, it would have been nice to have that.
I was gonna say, there's even due dates for, you know, Bruno and you. This is crazy.
No, I couldn't
you
believe
think you
it.
got an excuse that, you know, tardy or whatever. But now, how about the situation that these guys have, the Maels, where you knew, I guess, pretty early on that you want to start the film with a really sort of meta idea of, we're gonna have you guys, the writers, Leos, everybody sort of basically a backstage peek, then joined by the actors, literally talking about, so may we start. But it's really, it gives the whole thing momentum right from the start.
No, that was the intent, to see all of the actors, Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard and Simon Helberg, and us, we're in the studio kind of creating, you know, almost like we're speaking about the movie that you're about to see and about the pitfalls of making a movie, and then we're joined by all the actors who aren't yet in their character, with Adam Driver comes in and Marianne Cotillard behind, and then we're all walking down Santa Monica Boulevard singing this song, and it's kind of a prelude to the movie that you're about to see, and then everyone goes off in their separate ways, and the next scene is the actual movie.
What gave you the idea to approach it that way, with sort of the prelude? Do you remember, Ron?
Well, I think we just wanted to figure out a way to do something in a novel way, you know, rather than just, this is like a musical that you accept in toto, that if you kind of are forced to step out of it just slightly, then, you know, it just kind of shakes you up a bit. And you know, our whole intention was, with the musical, was to do one that was really unorthodox.
And we were so happy too that actors, you know, like Adam Driver was just really, you know, really excited to do something that was a little bit out of his comfort zone too, to do not only you know, to do a full-blown musical where he's singing probably 90% of the movie, but also to be singing in sort of, you know, not a traditional Hollywood kind of musical.
I don't know where or how it was recorded, but with Guns Go Bang, it sounds like there's a giant orchestra of every instrument that, you know, that could be backing you guys up there. I don't. Do you often work with that kind of production?
Well, like the funny thing is, like, when I first got my deal, there was like the main thing that I wanted more than anything. I was like, look, put in my contract that I didn't even know how the deals worked. I was still figuring it out, but I was just like, look, I don't know all the details, but I know I want an orchestra. Yeah. Like just like, I know I want that. Yeah. Right? So put that in the budget. I hope we got enough. Like, just get me a fucking orchestra, right? And so, like, that's always been my way of trying to, like, make the music more cinematic in a way, you know?
Especially with a Western where that's
exactly. Yeah. So, like, James was like, he sent me a record that didn't have, like, all the strings and stuff on it, but it was still fire, right? And then, like, he took what I recorded and went and had the orchestra. He was sending me clips and just, like, with him adding different things, cello, violin, and I was hearing it piece by piece. And then he was like, yo, it's coming together. And I was just like, holy shit, like, what the fuck, you know? Like, it just sounded so epic. Yeah. And then I met up with him, and he showed me the opening credits, you know, where the song lives. And I was just like, holy man, this is just like, you know, like, when you see your music put in a film, like, it's just something, it's something that it gives you, you know, because I'm sure as an artist, like, you want to make a movie to every fucking song you make. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you literally, like, the label's telling you, all right, we got a budget for 3 music videos. You're like, but I want to do all 13. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know? So it's really nice when you see, like,
these guys got to do that.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's
42 times.
42 and the intro and outro.
Right. And that's got to be crazy, you know? But yeah, like, I forgot what I was saying.
No, it's great. No, it's just it is a great way to kickstart the movie. Again, the same way with So May We Start with this. You just are in right away with when you've got such a great musical start right at the beginning.
I mean, that, you know, Guns Go Bang is so amazing because it's a combination. It sounds, you know, like a Western, but and epic, but then modern at the same time, and it just it's you know, it's perfect for that film, and I really love that piece.
I think one of the things that's like that I loved about it is that it kind of has like an old Negro spiritual tone to it, you know, and that was something I really loved about it. Like, when I was listening to the music, I was like, oh, this sounds like some old timey shit right here. I like this. This is like, nobody would expect me to be on a record like this, you know? And that's always been my shit. Everybody that knows me knows that, like, I'm always about doing something new and different and leaving people on their toes and not knowing what to expect.
Well, it's the interesting commonality of of you guys is the amount of genre hopping. And I guess if somebody asked you, if somebody came out from under a hole and said, oh, they didn't know you, hey, I'm Anderson .Paak, what kind of music do you make?
Post-internet, hippie, drug, pop, R&B, funk, psychedelic.
That's what
gluten
Sparks
free.
does too.
Gluten
That's
free.
what we
It's
do.
exactly the same.
That's weird.
We're in
Yep.
the same
Come on.
genre. Hey, man.
No, but it's really interesting because I
And
wonder how you
I like
see.
to say
Yeah.
I'm a pioneer of that. So
I love it. And what about you guys?
Space punk rock.
All right, this is good. We're gonna have people be updating the Wikipedia pages as they listen to this. Camila?
Well, right now I'm super inspired by my Mexican and Cuban heritage. For this album, which the name is Familia, it's been really fun to work with Latin writers and explore, writing a song that's in English, but to a song that has mariachi in it. I think it's like really fun to explore all the richness of my culture, but bring it to an audience that maybe wouldn't be able to access that. Yeah. So that's been really exciting for me.
Oh, that's great. And you guys have been called every genre in the book. What would you say today?
Well, the highest compliment. Remember the time there used to be these things called record stores, and way back in the dark ages. But anyway, yeah, they could never figure out where to file Sparks, which genre we were, and I think that's the highest compliment that could be paid to us when you can't say what you are.
Definitely.
Yeah, for
Definitely.
real. That's sick.
Oh yeah.
Curious to know, when did you guys each feel you'd first, quote unquote, made it as an artist? Was there a moment?
now.
Was there right now? Yeah. Well, we're glad to be of service with that. I just wonder, what is your measure of success, Scott?
Oh man, it's hard to pinpoint one moment, but there's one moment that really changed everything for me, because money was always a problem for me coming up, and it was. I remember I got my bank account, I paid off all my debt, and I got a debit card for the first time, and I just got my advance, and I told my accountant to put all my money on my card so I could see it, because I just couldn't believe that they gave me that much money. So I went to the bank, I go to the ATM, right at the Bank of America on Broadway in New York, Broadway and Houston, right? Mm-hmm. Went into the ATM, looked left, looked right, make sure nobody was watching,
Right.
Put my card in, check my checking, saw the amount, fucking freaked out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm rich.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm rich. I was just like, there was like a relief.
Yeah.
Like I was like, yo, as far as money goes, I don't have to worry about that no more.
Yeah.
Something told me like, yo, I'm straight.
That's huge.
Even though it wasn't like a crazy amount of money, and you can lose money,
Yeah.
but it was something about the way in which I came up, the energy, the excitement behind me. Yeah. I felt like as long as I just kept it going, like I would be an artist that would be around for years.
Yeah.
And it is interesting, there's a very good new documentary about you called A Man Named Scott.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned was how, people might have thought like Day and Night or something was the thing that literally it would have been right after that, you're in the money, quote, basically. It was years after that before you could actually, so that moment was hard earned that you're talking about.
Yes, I mean, I was still working at the Babe store in Soho when Day and Night was out and it was on the radio. Like people, like fans would come into the store and I would hide in the stock room because I was like, oh shit, like I can't, like, it's like people would come up to me and be like, yo, we love your song, it's really dope. I'm like, yeah, thank you, man. Like, hey, can I get this in a size large?
Right.
And then the reality sets in, like, shit.
Right.
It's a double
Like, I'm
life.
still working
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
Still in retail.
fuck, like,
We had the
so-
same thing on our very first album where we were on American Bandstand way back when, and then we went into the grocery store the following Monday after we were on that show, and then
We had our food stamps.
we were on food stamps, and so the checker at the place said, "Oh, I saw you guys on TV. I just love you guys so much." And then she said, "Okay, you want to pay?" And we got out our food stamps, but we were on TV that same week, and then she shouted out, "Check stand 32, we got food stamp people. Can we get the food stamps clear?" And we're kind of going,
my God.
so it's similar story.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, Anderson,
Same.
I mean-
I was broke because I couldn't pay attention. Yeah. She was ridiculous. Yeah, and like, I
You talked
mean,
about like you were living with your family in somebody else's
yeah,
house,
just
or-
like I had my first son. I was selling weed. I was a horrible weed dealer, getting robbed, taking the bus. I was on a similar program called WIC, but that's like when you got a family and like just waiting in line and always having to just. I feel you on that, man. Just like always, money was an issue, but there was always like with me it was like people. Like one thing I can say is that people were always like, it's gonna happen for you, man. And I always have relationships, so I always have people that let me crash on the couch, or people that let me use their studio, or even just borrow their cars, whatever. And when I linked up with Dre and I signed my first deal, and really when I really like got in the room with Dre, I knew that it was like, all right, like something is kind of like it's starting to spike up, you know. And then got my little check, you know, and it was just like, yeah, like this is it.
There's
you know,
no
I'm
turning
always
back,
gonna
yeah.
appreciate. I'm never gonna go back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
I feel like not hearing your story, like I think it was, for me, it was a combination of that ATM moment and then when Kanye first had me come out to Hawaii.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was really when I was like, because I got to the hotel and he was in front of the hotel and I got out and I was like, "Yo, what's up, man?" He was like, "Hey, man, what's good? We get ready to play basketball. You want to come with?" Me, not athletic at all.
Right.
No.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I could keep score if y'all want to like scoreboard.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I'm cool. He was like, "All right, man. Well, what's your cell phone number? I'll text you later."
Yeah.
And I was in my head, I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
get it.
Like Kanye wants my number.
Yes.
Like, I'm about to have
Yes.
his number. Like, so it was just like the levels of just like, cause he let me in so fast. Like he embraced me really fast, and that was like, you know, what made me feel comfortable because I was coming from an underground place where I didn't know about signing major. Like I didn't know if I really wanted to do that, you know? And so it kind of made me feel a little bit comfortable, like him embracing me in the way that he did. It was like a family thing, you know?
Right. And you guys, a number of you have that kind of, that, I don't know if you would, it's a blend between a mentor and a you know, a colleague or a collaborator. I mean, for you, I guess it was certainly, it's been Kanye, right? And Dre, and Camila, is there somebody like that for
I've
you?
been all alone.
Yeah, sure. You doing all right? Yeah.
Yeah, you figured.
No, I think I've been lucky to have people like at different times in my life. I wouldn't say like mentors really, but people that have definitely shown me kindness. Like, you know, when I was really young, like 16, 17, and I was still in Fifth Harmony, and I was just starting to write songs. Like while I was in Fifth Harmony, I would I remember wake up at like 7 in the morning, go early to a hotel room, put my laptop in the bathroom, and like, I know it's weird. I used to write songs in the bathroom because I'm like a big like corner person.
And then also it sounds good in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Natural
Even
reverb.
GarageBand, it sounded
Exactly.
better.
Exactly. Get the reverb.
Yeah, exactly. So I would go in there and I would like write songs, and I fell in love with songwriting. And I remember like approaching Taylor Swift and being like, "Hey, like, what do you do when like, you know, you're in a writing stump or whatever?" Like asking her for advice and stuff like that. And she showed me a lot of kindness, like Ed Sheeran too at that time. So a lot of people that were like, yeah, just I think like I was stoked obviously because these were like my songwriting like heroes that, you know, just like I was stoked that they were like even talking to me, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and you guys, I mean, I wonder if there was a person like that, but the other thing that's obviously different is that you had each other. And I wonder, have you guys, you know, you hear about, of course, bands fighting, breaking up, all that. Have you guys always been able to kind of maintain a steady close, like what's the secret?
More or less.
This is a long time you've been together. Like, what's the secret?
I don't know. We both, the one thing we really just have a common vision about just wanting to do music that's kind of special, at least in our minds. It's special, and that we share that same passion, and we're just really, you know, passionate about what we're doing, and we don't know why it's failed for some other brothers as far as them getting along together. You know, you can name 20, you know, the Everly Brothers, the Kinks, the Oasis guys, the Gallaghers. They don't get along. But but somehow, somehow there's just sort of this mission that we're on, and we just through thick and thin, just.
I think it's just kind of an insecurity. We don't feel that we've ever made it. So we have to kind of keep coming up with something new at a stage where, we're in a little bit different position than as far as like longevity and all from the other people. But we always have to kind of feel like we're coming up with something new and trying to prove ourselves, where other people that have maybe 25 albums out, they can kind of reflect on life and kind of mellow out, and we're always kind of worried, and so we just have to kind of push it all the time.
Well, it's literally like stay hungry.
Like that's it.
To me,
that's
it's like still 2009. Like I'm just starting. And that's how I feel with music, and that's how I feel with acting. I'm still a baby in all this. There's so much that I haven't accomplished.
To me, success is like being able to ignore the outcome of things and what people are gonna think, and just make things that to me feel new and interesting and weird, and like make me feel like, oh, I did something, I think that's fucking cool, and like I don't really care if other people like it. Like, to me, that's the feeling of success, feeling like, and I recognize that that's like a huge privilege and like a big like luxury to be able to like, test shit out and like do it for me, not for other people.
I think the same thing holds true for 2021 to 1921, like trusting your own unique
it's true.
Experience, like being obsessed with the art and being as self-sufficient as possible. Like a lot of people, I'm sure like everybody can like has these times where nobody believed in what you were trying to do, and it got to the point where it's like, well shit, I'm just gonna be the best of me that I can be. And then by the time you got to Kanye, he probably really loved that about you. It's like, this little nigga different, you know what I'm saying?
But the key, the word that you said was obsessive.
Obsessive,
When all you can think about is that one thing.
That's it. And a lot of, I meet so many artists, they don't have that. They're thinking, they think you can skip some steps, or like there's a shortcut, or there's something else you're into, but it's not really the music.
And I was also, and you were also like one of those guys that was probably willing to put in the work.
Yeah, I mean, I had no choice. I was on the bench so much that it was just like I was watching everybody shoot, and it was. I didn't realize till later it was like, it's great to be able to learn and sit and wait your turn and be patient so that you're appreciative when you have it, And that's that was it. That was my shit.
That's great.
I was just gonna say, I mean, there's kind of a low-level arrogance, that's necessary, that shouldn't be kind of telegraphed, but that that you're right in your own
100%.
kind of way about what you're doing, and sometimes people see it your way and sometimes they don't.
So the last thing I just want to do is quickly go around and talk about, as right after we say, it's got to matter most to you, but I know that it still means something when your fans and admirers give you feedback of one sort or another. So I just wonder, what is the feedback that has meant the most to you as you've gone on this journey? And I want to start with Russell.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it just came about with the documentary now, just finding out that even people, a lot of old fans related to it, but then a lot of people that had no knowledge of our group at all, and they saw this and they got just this the message of like perseverance, against all odds and all obstacles, and that when you hear that and you get the feedback from fans just saying, wow, you really inspired me in my creative endeavor just to keep plugging away no matter what, and that kind of thing, it kind of just really is really heartwarming, really satisfying to hear that what you're doing is giving inspiration for other people in a creative way.
Something that really means a lot to me is when people from other kind of arts feel inspired by what you're doing. I mean, in the documentary, there's Neil Gaiman, the great writer, and he'd been following us for so many years, and it kind of blows your mind, because you kind of think, what is that's actually like legitimate art, and we kind of have always felt a certain illegitimacy about what we've done, and so when somebody like that kind of feels some kind of inspiration from what you've done, it really, you shouldn't feel too good about it, but you feel a little bit.
Heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the soundtrack thing, you're like providing a service to the film. You're supposed to make the film better. You're part of this whole big thing. So when the director is really happy about how it came out, and you're seeing people, hit you up, yo, I stayed to the end, and like we was jamming out in the theater, and we recognized it right away, and it's making the overall experience better for the movie. I think that's like the best feedback you can get. Especially after you do 50 versions of it. It's just like, shit, 51. You're like, that's the best I could give you, like right. Hopefully it made the whole picture, that much better.
I feel like for me, the feedback that I've gotten that means a lot to me, especially right now. Like for this album, I feel like, tapping into my family, my roots, my heritage as a Cuban and Mexican woman. I wrote this song with this artist called Yotuel, called Lola, which is basically about, actually it was before the situation that's happening in Cuba right now, where people for the first time are kind of rising up against the government and fighting for their freedom, which is something that's very scary for Cuban people to do, because people, anybody that rises up against the government or protesters will just like get disappeared, locked behind bars. And getting able to do a song with Yotuel, who with his and Gente de Zona song, Patria y Vida, kind of like started, talk about music being powerful, like started this movement and gave the Cuban people bravery too, for the first time in like 60, 70 years, go out into the streets and fight, like being able to do a song with him about the situation there. And, my mom hearing it and crying, and my cousins crying, and my grandparents crying, and being like, damn, like she's like really fucking like, giving a voice to our people and like lending her voice to this fight, and just being able to make my family proud and have my dad sing on a mariachi song with me.
You already made him proud. That Grammys, how many people get to sing to their
Yeah.
dad at the Grammys?
I
That was
know.
pretty special. So. And Scott, I mean, you hear things that are so heartfelt from people that, literally your music saved my life. I mean, what does that feel like?
It's an overwhelming feeling. I think back in the day, I was scared when people would say that. I'd be like, no, like it freaked me out, because I was just like, oh, I have this responsibility that I'm not prepared for, But I'm 37 now. I've been making music for 13 years, you know what I'm saying? And I've been able to kind of recognize that I've created something here. Yeah. And I had to rise to the occasion and be a leader. Whether I was prepared for it or not, like I had to get my shit straight so I could wear those shoes and lead. And it took me to go to rehab, break through the chains that was holding me down, and then take a step back and then look at the love that I had out there, realize that it was waiting for me, and that I needed to rise up and fulfill my destiny, And like, it makes me, a wave of emotions runs over me. Like even when I watched the documentary, the last 5 times I watched it, I cried, because it was like during that part where I started talking about rehab, they show a lot of the comments from the Facebook page, and I've never seen these comments before. And it was just like some of the most heartfelt shit. And it was like, at the time, I guess when I was watching the documentary, maybe I was going through something where I just was in a funk and I needed that. But like, it's like sometimes I can forget, and I need the reminder that like, you know, whether I'm having a bad day or whatever I'm going through, like what I'm doing is helping people.
Yeah.
You know,
Real
like
shit.
like I have a purpose here. I can say that like I can, if something happened to me tomorrow, I know that like I did my job here. I helped people and I inspired and like I'm good.
For real.
You know what I'm saying?
I cannot tell you how special this is for a music fan to just get to be with such varied artists. I don't know where other than maybe the Grammys we could get a table like this together. And so I just can't thank you enough on behalf of the Hollywood Reporter and everybody. Really appreciate your time and your artistry, and thank you so much.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Word up, word up.